Hi, April. Very good to see you again. It is April and it is Financial Literacy Month. We are tackling some very important topics. Today, the importance of naming beneficiaries. Of course, this is one of those things really easy to do. It's free, but it's often overlooked. I think a lot of us think it may be just obvious where our assets will go. We're going to break it down, but explain why properly naming your beneficiaries is vitally important.
That's a fantastic question, Erin. And what we find a lot of times is that people don't always think about their beneficiary documents. They really think more in terms of their estate and passing assets on, in terms of whether or not they have their estate planning documents like their will updated. And while that is very important, it does not solve everything. And the reason for that is because beneficiary documents are the most powerful document in your estate. And if there's a discrepancy between the will and the beneficiary documents are going to prevail. And also, beneficiary documents, when they're done correctly, they completely bypass probate. So they are a much more powerful tool and document than a lot of times people realize.
Okay, that's good to know. So, how often then should we be reviewing those documents?
Anytime there's a major life trigger, anytime there's a death, a divorce, a remarriage, anything like that that changes the dynamic of the family, we also encourage people to just do periodic checks on those documents, because even if nothing has changed, every now and then we'll find a clerical error. I had one instance where there were 4 children in the family, and the beneficiary documents simply stated equal instead of stating an actual percentage. And there was a page missing in the beneficiary documentation. So there were only 3 children who were listed because of that 4th page that was missing. And it would have gone undetected because there were no percentages that didn't add up correctly. It just simply said equal next to everyone's name. So certain clerical issues can happen as well. Another one that we always tell people to check is their bank accounts. Checking, savings, money market, CDs, anything that you have at the bank or at the credit union, those institutions do not typically dive into the beneficiary side of things and to the estate planning side of things. They're really there simply to hold assets. And they don't call it a beneficiary form. They'll call it something like a transfer on death form or payable on death form. But those certainly need to be checked and monitored as well, in addition to the beneficiary documents that you place on file for your retirement savings and investment accounts.
Wow, that's a lot to consider. Also, it goes to show why you are just so awesome. I can't imagine having a clerical error like disrupt a family like that. That's unbelievable. One thing that I want to talk about is the 2 kinds of ways to kind of bequeath, which is per Stirpes or per capita. Can you break that down, please, the difference between the 2?
I'd be happy to. They just had to go and make things even more complicated with an already complicated topic and put these in Latin terms. But this is a very important distinction that a lot of people don't realize the difference between. And perhaps part of that is because the terms are, again, Latin. But per Stirpes simply means that it's going through the family bloodline. Per capita does not. So if you look at the illustration there, the green indicates the person who is deceased. And in the per Stirpes example, you'll notice that when the account owner dies and the beneficiaries receive their equal share, if one of those beneficiaries that's listed has passed away, so that's the green triangle, that's B. If it's per Stirpes, then their share will go down to their children, to their next the next in line, the next in their lineage. If it is not designated as per Stirpes, then a lot of times inadvertently, their children will be disclaimed, disowned in other words. So their share goes to the other 2 beneficiaries. So on per capita on B, if there's a named beneficiary that's deceased and that document has not been updated, their share would not go to their children. Instead, it would go to their other 2 siblings, is what this typically would represent. Sometimes that is the intent, but it is a very important discussion point because everybody has different preferences on what they would like to happen in an unforeseeable circumstance like that. But of course, if we keep the beneficiary documents updated, hopefully we don't have any of those concerns or questions, but things certainly do happen.
Right. You certainly don't want to unintentionally disinherit your grandchildren. Again, I think that would lead to some potential problems for the family. But April, again, really important, really easy stuff, often overlooked. So if somebody wants you to comb through those documents like you are so awesome at doing, what's the best way to reach you?
Well, I would also just add, Erin, that these documents, there are a lot of laws that have changed. So
Mhm.
with the Secure Act, with the CARES Act, whether you reach out to us or not, make sure that you're up to date on what the implications of those laws are and who you're naming as beneficiaries and what accounts. But if we can be of any assistance to you on this, you can reach us at either of our offices, or you can visit with us at theretirementfamily.com and submit a website submission request. We'd be more than happy to reach out to you and see what we can do to help you and your family.
That's great. April, thank you.
Thank you, Erin.